Namaskaram friends. So let's discuss a very beautiful question from the life of Krishna. Question is, Draupadi, also known as Krishna, has been subjected to harsh criticism and detraction, but Krishna loves her tremendously. Please say something about her in the context of our own time. So let's discuss it. As among men, Krishna baffles our understanding, so does Draupadi among women. And how the critics look at Draupadi say more about the critics themselves than about Draupadi. What we see in others is only a reflection. Others serve only as mirrors to us. We see in others only what we want to see. In fact, we see what we are. We do nothing but project ourselves on the world. It is difficult to understand Draupadi, but our difficulty does not come from this great woman. It really emanates from us. Our ideas, beliefs, desires and hopes come in our way of understanding her. To love 5 men together, to play wife to them all at the same time is a great and arduous task. This needs to be understood rightly. Love does not have much to do with people. It is a state of mind. And love that is confined to a single person is poor. Let us go into this question of love in depth. We all insist that one's love should be confined to a single person, a man or a woman. If someone loves you, you want him to love you and you alone, for him not to share his love with another person. You would like to possess them, to monopolize them. We want to possess not only things but also man and woman. And if we had our way, we would possess even the sun, the moon and the stars. So we want to monopolize love because we do not know what love is. We are prone to think that if it is shared with many, it will disperse, shrink and die. But the truth is that the more love is shared, the more it grows. And when we try to restrict it, to control it, which is utterly unnatural and arbitrary, it dries up and eventually dies. I am reminded of a beautiful story. A Buddhist nun had a statue of Buddha made of sandalwood. She loved the statue and always kept it with her. Being a nun, she travelled from place to place, mostly in Buddhist temples and monasteries. And wherever she lived, she worshipped her own statue of Buddha. Once she was a guest at the famous temple of 1000 Buddhas. This temple was known for its 1000 statues of Buddha. It was filled with statues and statues. The nun, as usual, sat for her evening worship, and she burned incense before her statue of Buddha. But with the passing breeze, the fragrance of the incense strayed to other statues of Buddhas that filled that temple. The nun was distressed to see that while her own Buddha was deprived of the perfume, others had it in plenty. So she devised a funnel through which the smoke would go only to her statue. But this device, although successful, blackened the face of her Buddha and made it especially ugly. Of course, the nun was very miserable because it was a rare sandalwood statue and she loved it. She went to the chief priest of the temple and said, "My statue of Buddha has been ruined. What am I to do?" The priest said, "Such an accident, such an ugliness is bound to happen whenever someone tries to block the movement of truth and possess it for oneself. Truth by its nature has to be everywhere. It cannot be personalized and possessed. Up to now, mankind has thought of love as a small relationship between two persons. We have yet to know that love is a state of being, that someone's very state of feeling is love. And this is what comes in our way of understanding Draupadi. If I am loving, If love is my state of being, then it is not possible to confine my love to a single person or even a few people. When love enters my life and becomes my nature, I can love any number of people. Then it is not even a question of one or many. Then I am loving and my love reaches everywhere. If I am loving to one and unloving to all others, even my love for the one will wither away. It is impossible to be loving to one and unloving to the rest. If someone loves for an hour every day and remains unloving the rest of the time, his lovelessness will eventually smother his small love and turn his life into a wasteland of hate and hostility. Unfortunately, people worldwide try to capture love and keep it caged in their relationships. But it is impossible to make a captive of love. The moment you try to capture it, it ceases to be love. Love is like air. You cannot hold it in your fist. It is possible to have a little air on your open palm, but if you try to enclose it in your fist, the air escapes. It is a paradox of life that when you try to imprison love, to put it in bondage, it degenerates and dies. And we have all killed love in our foolish attempts to possess it. We don't know what love is. We find it hard to understand how Draupadi could love 5 people. Not only we, but even the 5 Pandavas' brothers had difficulty understanding Draupadi. The trouble is understandable. Even the Pandavas thought Draupadi was more loving to one of them, for believed that she favored Arjuna in a particular way, and they felt envious of him. So they had a kind of division of her time and attention. When one of the Pandava brothers was with her, others were debarred from visiting. Like us, they believed it is impossible for someone to love more than one person at a time. We cannot conceive that. Love is a current. It does not flow towards individuals, it flows from an individual. Love is available to all without distinction, like air, sunshine, and rain. We have our own ideas of what love is and should be, which is why we misunderstood Draupadi. Despite our best efforts to understand her, there is still a suspicion in our mind that there is an element of prostitution in Draupadi. Our very definition of a sati, a wife who is faithful and loyal to only one, turns Draupadi into a prostitute. Amazingly, the tradition of this country respects Draupadi as one of the 5 most virtuous women of the past. The people who included her among the 5 great women of history must have been extraordinarily intelligent. The fact that she was the common wife of 5 Pandavas was known to them, which makes their evaluation of her tremendously significant. For them, it did not matter whether love was confined to one or many. The real question was whether or not one had love. They knew that if really there was love, it could flow endlessly in any number of channels. It could not be controlled and manipulated. It was symbolic to say that Draupadi had 5 husbands. It meant that one could love 5, 50, 500, 5,000 people at the same time. There is no end to love's power and capacity. The day loving people walk on this earth, the personal ownership of love found everywhere today in the form of marriages, families, and groups will disappear. It will not mean that the love relationship between 2 human beings will be prohibited and declared to be sinful. That would be going to the other extreme of stupidity. No, everybody will be free to be himself and to function within his limits, and no one will impose his will and ideas on others. Love and freedom will go together. Draupadi's love is river-like, overflowing. She does not deny her love even for a moment. Her marriage to the Pandava brothers is an extraordinary event. It came about almost playfully. The Pandavas came home with Draupadi, who they had won in a contest. They told their mother they had brought a very precious thing with them. Without asking what the precious object was, their mother Kunti said, "If it is precious, share it." The Pandava brothers had no idea their mother would say this. They had just wanted to teach her, but now they had to do their mother's bidding, so they made Draupadi their shared wife. And she accepted it without complaint. It was possible because of her infinite love. She had so much that she loved all her husband deeply, never feeling any shortage of love in her heart. She had no difficulty playing her roles as their shared beloved and never discriminated between them. Draupadi is certainly a unique woman. Women in general are very jealous. They live in jealousy. If you want to characterize man and woman, you can say that while ego is a man's chief characteristic, jealousy is a woman's. Men live by ego and women by jealousy. Really, jealousy is the passive form of ego and ego is the active form of jealousy. But here is a woman who rose above jealousy and smallness. She loved the Pandavas without any reservations. In many ways, Draupadi towered her own husbands. In many ways, Draupadi towered over her husbands, who were very jealous of one another because of her love. They remained in constant psychological conflict with each other, while Draupadi went through this complex relationship with perfect ease and harmony. We are to blame for our own failure to understand Draupadi. We think that love is a relationship between two people, which is not. And because of this misconception, we have to go through all kinds of torment and misery. Love is a flower that once in a while blooms without any reason or purpose. It can happen to anyone who is open. And love accepts no bonds, no constraints on its freedom. But because society has chained love in many ways, we do everything to smother and escape from it. Thus, love has become scarce and we must go without it. We live a loveless life. We are a strange people. We can go without love, but we cannot love someone without possessing them. We can starve ourselves of love, but we cannot tolerate that the person who loves should share their love with anybody else. To deprive others of love, we can easily give up our own share of it. We don't know how terribly we suffer because of our ego and jealousy. It is also good to know that Draupadi is not the only one of this kind. She may be the last in a long line. The society that preceded Draupadi was matriarchal. Perhaps Draupadi is the last vestige of that disintegrating social order. In a matriarchal society, the mother was the head of the family and descent was through the female line. In a matriarchy, a woman did not belong to any man. No man could possess her. This way had existed for a long time, and Draupadi seems to be the last of it. Today, there are only a few primitive tribes where women can have marriages to multiple men. That is why the society of her times accepted Draupadi and her marriages and did not raise any objections. If it was wrong, Kunti would have changed her instructions to her sons, but she did not. If there was anything immoral in it, even the Pandava brothers would have asked their mother to change her order. But nothing of the kind happened because it was acceptable to that society. A perfectly moral custom in one society can appear completely immoral to another. Muhammad had 9 wives, and his Quran allows every Muhammadan man to have 4 wives. In modern societies, marriages between more than 2 people are considered highly immoral. And the Prophet of Islam had 9 wives. When he had his first marriage, he was 24 years old, while his wife was 40. But the society in which Muhammad was born was very different from ours, and its circumstances were such that polygamy became both necessary and moral. They were warring tribes who constantly fought among themselves. Consequently, they were always short of men, and so many were killed in fighting. While the numbers of their women went on growing, out of 4 people, 3 were women. So Muhammad ordained that each man should have 4 wives. If it was not done, then 3 out of 4 women would have been forced to live a loveless life or take to prostitution. That would have been really immoral. So these arrangements become a necessity and were thought to be moral. And to set a bold example, Muhammad himself took 9 women as his wives and permitted each of his male followers to have 4. No one objected to it. Nothing was immoral about it. The society in which the Mahabharata happened was in the last stages of matriarchy. Therefore, marriage to multiple husbands was accepted. But that society is long dead, and with it, these multiple marriages are now things of the past. They have no relevance in a society where the numbers of men and women are equal. Only when this balance is disturbed for some reason do such customs appear. So, there was nothing immoral about Draupadi. Even today, I say that Draupadi was not an ordinary woman. She was unique and rare. The woman who loved 5 men together and loved them equally, and who lived on their love, could not be an ordinary woman. She was tremendously loving, and it was indeed a great thing. We misunderstood her because of our narrow idea of love. So I hope you love this discussion, you enjoy this discussion and gain some knowledge, some perspective out of it. So keep learning, keep growing, keep enjoying. Namaskaram. Thank you.